Hello, Red vs. Blue fans, and welcome to the season finale after show on AFTERBUZZ TV for Red vs. Blue Season 14. We will be covering episodes 21 through 24, and we have a very special guest calling in tonight, so we'll see all that after the opening.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Might as well start with the classics, right?
Yeah, it's always good to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, we did a lot of that this season. And we are going to get right into it. With me tonight, I have the lovely Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. We have the hashtag ABTVRVB. We have the live chat up. We'll be looking at that intermittently. So if you have something fun to say, any questions for our guests, feel free to throw them in there, and we may well get a shout out. And calling in tonight, we have the wonderful Shannon McCormick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Yeah.
So we are going to get right into it and talk about the first two episodes we're looking at, your episodes, The Triplets and The Mission. And you have to have the scare quotes in the title there.
So when it was written, the whole thing was just called The Triplets, and it was a part 1 and part 2. They decided that they didn't want to reveal that it was a two-parter right away. So we just called part 1 The Triplets, and then Kyle, who directed the second one, was like, "Hey man, we need a title." And he was like, "How about The Mission?" And we'll just put it in quotes. I was like, "Yeah, sounds good."
That's perfect.
So that's how it ended up that way.
I think that was the perfect title for it, because what mission?
So too.
So, is it too early to ask where did the idea for this particular one come from? Because this season has been completely anthology. Did they were there topics up for grabs, or is it something that you guys pitched to Miles in particular? How did that process work?
So it was pretty loosey-goosey. So really what happened was I knew in the after RTX of 2015 that it was going to be an anthology season, which I think maybe they announced at RTX in 2015. I can't remember.
I think they did.
I knew it was going to be an anthology season, and maybe they probably didn't yet. I can't remember. Anyway, but I knew it was going to be an anthology, and after the improv panel, there was such an outpouring of affection for 479er, for Lee Eddy's character, from some of the folks who were there at the improv panel. I shot Miles a message afterwards, like a couple weeks after that RTX, and said, "Hey, I know you're thinking about this anthology season. I was like, just so you know, I think if you did something with 479er, you could have, it'd be a pretty cool, it'd be well received by, certain quarters of the fandom, but I wasn't envisioning that I would write it or anything like that. I was just sort of giving Miles a heads up, and had sort of suggested maybe a possible storyline, and it was just something offhand. And what I had actually originally at one point envisioned was kind of well, I'll get to that in a sec, because I ended up pitching a couple of ideas. So 479er makes an appearance in my episode at the end of The Triplets.
Yeah.
She's not in it, though, because of the animation was all tied. The 3D animation team was all tied up doing the Merck's episode.
Oh.
And for her armor type, they weren't going to be able to actually machinimate with 479er. So that was kind of, they found themselves in this weird position. I think Miles would have liked to have done something with her character, but just like the timing and the logistics of the team's bandwidth weren't available for there to be a 479er episode. So the idea that I had was like a freelancer ladies' night out kind of a thing.
Oh my God.
Where they got to blow off steam, and again, this is just me spitballing and not proposing to write anything. So I suggested that. I was like, oh, you could do like a ladies' night out and 479ers with them, or has to come bail them out, or something, and she's the hero and has to save the freelancers or whatever. And Miles got back to me at the very end of last year, beginning of this year, and he was like, hey, you know what? That idea isn't going to work, but if you have any other ideas, let us know. We have some, availability. Pitch me some ideas. So I had a couple, and the one that stuck was the Triplets idea, and that all came from I'm from Iowa. When I went to school, I went to the University of Iowa, which is in Iowa City, and Iowa is often mistaken for Idaho and Ohio by people who don't know the rest of the country. And so there used to actually be shirts for sale on game day, like at the University of Iowa football games, that would say University of Iowa, Idaho City, Ohio. And I was like, oh man, like, wouldn't it be funny if there were these three, like the three dead worst freelancers, and they were all these states that are confused with one another. And I can get, because I'm from Iowa, I can like kind of poke fun at Iowa or whatever, even though like the implication is not that these people represent these states or qualities of these states. They're just code names. But I was like, okay, well, if I do the Iowa thing, then let's like see what this team of the absolute the three, 50, 49, and 48 are, and what they look like. And then it just kind of blossomed from there. Okay, they're bad, and then now we get to see them interacting with. I liked having Wash and CT sort of like presumably early in the project as they're sort of they've been tapped to go up into the upper ranks, the single digits or whatever. So and then it all just kind of flowed from there as to what would happen.
I was going to ask why you chose the states you did, and I think that's a better answer than I ever could have asked for.
Yeah, it's all just personal history. So that's where the idea came from. I pitched it to Miles and Cullen, and they both really liked it, and they were like, okay, yeah, go for it. So we wrote it. Miles did some punch up work on it to help it out. But most of the jokes are mine, and most of the certainly the plot and the storyline is all mine, and Miles helped kind of shape it and keep it within the realm of red versus blue, and I think it worked out pretty good.
These were some of my favorite episodes in the season. I had such a good time. And it's partially because I have a massive freelancer bias, not going to lie, but just a teeny one.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I know you do.
Well, yeah, no. Yes, you do. What was your favorite part of working on these episodes?
My favorite part was, I don't know. I mean, part of it was writing for people. Like, I knew that I wanted Elizabeth Maxwell to play Ohio. She and I have become friends in the past year and a half or so after Camp, and just her being around Rooster Teeth a lot more since she's sort of been part of the family, and then also knowing that I was going to be writing for characters that I've played, and also be able to bring Sam and Shayna and Lee back into the booth. So that was fun. And then it was just fun, like finding the voices that were right for the other characters that I didn't know who they were going to be before we got there. But so that was really fun. That was great.
And flip side, what was the hardest part of working on these episodes?
Oh man, two things. I think one was shutting up about them for a long time because I'm an internet troll. So
yeah, no, I know.
just knowing that that I had information about the whole season, but also specifically my episodes, and not be able to go, oh my God, I just recorded some lines, or we just found, we found the actress to play Sherry, and she's going to be great, and people don't even know who Sherry is or anything like that. So that was kind of hard. And just, finding those beats in the story and making it, making the length work out right. I think they turned out a little longer than the Miles and the team had originally thought we were going to do, but in the end they were like, well, you know what, they work at this length, and so let's not try to shave them down just to make them fit some arbitrary time length or anything like that. So I think they work well as two roughly 9-minute episodes.
Yeah, they were a ton of fun to watch. Should probably get into talking about them a little bit.
Sure.
I love these guys at the bottom of the totem pole. They're so dang funny. And I get the feeling that actually Ohio might have succeeded a little more had she not hung out with these two guys.
Yeah. I think one of the knocks against it, and it's like because I was paying attention online. I think there's some people are like, how did these people end up in Project Freelancer? And it's like, yeah,
I was wondering that myself.
They're like they're marginal at best. So they're maybe not. So I'll tell you, one of my motivations was actually having played Wash for so long. I think I'll be honest, one of my frustrations is lately, I feel like Wash's being like bad has become a little too one note. For his characterization, it's like when he was introduced, he's like a total badass, and I get why in seasons 9 and 10 they made him not nearly as cool, because it automatically establishes everybody above him as even more of a badass, right? It's like we already know Wash is good or tough or whatever, and then so automatically that invests Carolina and North with some gravitas. But I do feel like as it's gone on, it's like, oh, Wash, he's terrible. And that's maybe me being a little defensive of a character that I play or whatever. But it's like, and so part of me was like, oh, you think Wash is bad? Well, let me show you who else was out there. And like,
the flip side is
maybe a little on the side of them being a little bit too sim troopery. But in the end, I just wanted there to be a nice echo and callback to the Blood Gulch era, but I saw a number of people online being like, "Oh, this is where the director got the idea for the Sim Troopers." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that wasn't my intention, but I like it. It fits in the chronology that like maybe these guys were so bad that they somehow they snuck into the program." But then they had to be offshored in a very literal sense, and then that perhaps gave Leonard Church the idea to start the Sim Trooper program.
The original Reds and Blues.
That's actually kind of what I was thinking. Like, it's been a month. We should probably send a recovery agent down to get their armor back, because they did go with Freelancer. What do you mean they're still alive? And they're fighting 3 guys from Charon? And they're all color-coded? I've had a brilliant idea.
Right, exactly. So they get sent. So they're terrible. They're so bad that they decide to get rid of them. They're sent off on this planet. Which was originally. So we were trying to find some. It was originally going to be one of the weird water planet extra map in Halo 3. Mm-hmm. And so I'd originally written a pass of the script where they were all like in water, like a beach area, kind of, just like an endless expanse of ocean. And that didn't. There were some machinima issues that wasn't going to be able to work. Sorry, it was the Halo 2. It's the Halo 2 extra maps in the. I'm not a big Halo person, so I don't know.
Neither am I.
But so anyway, there were some extra maps in Halo 2 that we were going to machinimate in, but then that was not operable for a number of logistical reasons on Rooster Teeth's end. So then we put it in Halo 3, and then we went with the icy maps.
Is it Sidewinder?
So I rewrite that stuff to make the ice stuff work.
I have to know if it's Sidewinder. That's all I could think of.
Yeah, I think so. I've got them in the script somewhere. Like, we took a look, and like, literally Kyle said that, as they're machinimating it, if you like, look any, to the left or the right, there's a lot more stuff going on. So you had to position everything in such a way that, it looked a lot more desolate than those maps actually are.
It only looks abandoned.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very interesting seeing how Project Freelancer deals with their problems.
Yeah.
Like, no dishonorable discharge or anything like that. They just shoo them away to die.
They quit. Yeah, because you can quit the. Yeah, okay. I love that, though.
Yeah.
I love that no one questions it. I love that we have things no one tells Wash, because that is a refrain of his life. And I kind of adore the fact that you created these characters to kind of be under him and shore him up, and yet you have established Wash as their lunch buddy. After that big, long speech about talking to you makes me incompetent. If they killed us and touched our dead bodies, they would become incompetent.
Right. Well, I did want to kind of honor a little bit of all of those histories that Wash has.
Yeah.
So he's better than that. He's better as a fighter than them, but he's also a doofus. So you get South and CT poking fun of him for being naive and a doofus at the end of the episode. But I also wanted to kind of work in there too that I think Wash and CT are kind of viewed a little, viewed positively, or that their relationship with Project Freelancer is somehow less compromised than, say, some of the other ones. And it's like, oh no, they're kind of, and so that's where all the kind of petty high school stuff comes in, where it's like, oh, I don't want to be seen with my lame old friends because now I'm with the cool kids or whatever, and like that kind of, I think, just really human scenarios that we have all found ourselves in some capacity, whether on the receiving end or the giving end or both or whatever. So just wanted to have that kind of complexity there for Wash and for CT to be like, oh, they're kind of torn between their old loser friends and their new cooler but totally more evil friends or whatever.
The fun people and the dicks.
It's very Mean
exactly.
Girls, for sure.
It is very Mean Girls. On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Pardon?
On Wednesdays, we wear pink. It's Mean Girls.
Or lightish red in this case.
Or lightish red.
Or lightish red. On Wednesday, we wear lightish red. Exactly.
Wednesdays, we wear lightish red. Someone do a fan art of that. Oh my god. We have magical spin jitsu ninja. Took me a minute to get through that in the chat, saying Georgia got what was coming to him.
That was the other thing I wanted to put in there too, was okay, so we, South already has a reputation that, people don't like South, and she can be, kind of bitchy, and she's a mean girl. And I was like, well, it didn't really fit North. I didn't want to make North that's not his personality, and that's not, I had a hard time envisioning John saying those lines. So I was like, well, okay, well, who can I put with South? And I was like, Carolina doesn't the triplets are so far beneath Carolina that she wouldn't even bother making fun of them. So I was like, well, who's left? And I was like, oh, let's do Georgia, because we've never established anything about his personality. So it's like, oh, he's a total asshole, and he died, and no one will miss it.
And then Carrie voiced him, right? I think that was what I saw in the credits.
So Carrie voices his scream in the DVD extra at the end of the DVD on season 10, I think it is.
Yeah.
With the Georgia DVD. Is it 10?
I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember if it's 10 or 9.
I think it was 10.
Carrie voices his scream. Yeah, I think it's 10 as well. Carrie voices his scream. So Carrie got to be a jerk in the booth as well for the lines that I Georgia.
That was so much fun to watch.
A high school
oh my
bully.
god! Pretty much. It's very high school, except it's one of those high schools that ranks people. It's Japan. It's Japan.
Well, isn't that normal high school? Because everybody's ranked via standardized testing.
Well, yeah, but normal high school, you only have the rankings in so much as this one's valedictorian, that one's salutatorian. In Japan, they rank everyone and they post them on the walls.
So
for
everyone can see your failures.
So Project Freelancer is Japanese high school.
Oh.
Sure.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, they post the rankings for Project Freelancer.
Around every single corner.
I wanted to just, I don't necessarily have a question about this, but I just want to, point out that this, we have the first case of canonical lesbians in Red versus Blue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that a thank you to me or
Yes.
to him? Oh, you got it.
Was there any reasoning behind that? Is that just because it hadn't been done before?
It was a little bit because it hadn't been done before. I think part of it was that it sort of stemmed from the idea that I had for the Ladies' Night piece, which was sort of the original instigator for that. And what's really funny is I can't remember if I wrote them in before the canonical lesbians joke on Tumblr came about or after, and I really don't know which led to the other. If anybody, this is all a little bit inside baseball for people who follow me on Tumblr, but I happen to make some. I happen to do a GIF of the end of Korra. And made some sort of just something about canonical lesbians. It had nothing. I don't know. But part of me is like, I am in my mid-40s and I have known people of various sexual orientations for longer than many of the people who watch Red versus Blue have been alive, and yet the representation in the show they hadn't been tackled before, and it was like, well, like there should just be a lesbian character and it should be no big deal, or a couple lesbian characters, and it's no big deal. It's not a plot point. It's not a joke or anything like that. It's just like, well, these are some other kinds of characters who are in this world, and it's part of their identity, but it isn't necessarily part of what drives the plot. So anyway, so that's why Ohio and Sherry are in there as such. I also in my mind, definitely, I mean, people can headcanon racial identities for everybody else, but Daryl is definitely an African-American, and he's voiced by Aaron Alexander, who is an African-American actor, and who's also one of the mocap guys for a lot of Ruby and Red versus Blue stuff. So it was great to have him do some voice acting. So Daryl is definitely African-American.
Awesome. All right, Tumblr, you heard him. Go. Yeah, oh my god, these episodes were so much fun, and I thought I'd put away all the angry feelings about Project Freelancer, and by the time I hit the end of the mission, I was furious at them again, at the project as a whole. So
I take that, Katie, I take that as a high compliment.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I need to thank you for that or not.
Effective storytelling.
Very effective storytelling. I was so mad. I'm still angry. It's been like 4 weeks and I'm still mad.
It's coming to them eventually.
Do they? Do they really?
Ish.
Only one of them dies in a fire, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, it's nice to go back to this point in time, and it's nice to highlight some characters, and to flesh out the world a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, to hear some old familiar voices too.
And it's so interesting in a freelancer story that the emphasis is on teamwork. Even if it's just, we need to get rid of them, they are bringing down our average. The emphasis is, oh, well, you guys are really good at teamwork, so go do that. And then the second half of the episode, pretty much the entirety of the mission is, we're friends, we're doing this together, we're doing it as a team, no matter what happens, as long as we stick together, we'll be okay. And that's really interesting, given freelancers' extreme bias for, you have to be the best, you get sent out in teams, but really the individual is what counts.
Yeah, well, that's why they had to be gotten rid of. They were too good at teamwork. They were going to corrupt the rest of the individuals in Project Freelancer.
Oh my God, yes.
Those monsters! Gee.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine? I'm wandering off into AU territory here, and I think I need to reel it back in.
But yeah, no, it's such a bummer because Project Freelancer could have worked if maybe you focus on, because they had a lot of great, and they were a good team. It's just, so many angry feels.
They were a great team until you took everyone's self-esteem and tacked it to the leaderboard.
Boo.
Just like a Japanese high school.
I feel like that's a good night, everybody sort of moment. Do you have any final thoughts on these episodes?
Just that it was, again, it's nice to go back to this point in time. These characters were fantastic. The acting was phenomenal. I wholeheartedly agree. Bringing Elizabeth Maxwell into Red versus Blue,
yes.
Wonderful choice. Yeah, all in all, this was fantastic.
They were.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I really. I didn't realize. I thought that was an opening for me to say thanks. Thank you.
It's also an opening for you to share any final thoughts. Anything we didn't cover, anything you want the audience to know that we haven't touched on yet?
No. I think that's it. I really appreciate everybody who's enjoyed the episodes. I've appreciated people who haven't enjoyed the episodes, and I look forward to, just more people getting, seeing those episodes as they, more people come into Red versus Blue who didn't necessarily catch them live the first time, and hopefully those characters will continue to have a little bit of life out there on the internet, which is always exciting for me.
You gave us canon lesbians in Red versus Blue. I think the internet's going to pick that up and sprint.
Yeah, I hope so.
Do you have any projects that you're working on that you can tell us about?
Not that I can really tell you about. I do have my Patreon is going on, which I kind of nod to some projects that are coming up, but nothing is out there yet. I'm working on a webcomic called Escape from Teddy Bear Prison, but nothing's live yet. And then also some for those who have come to the RTX improv panel, we're working on turning it into a live stream on Twitch and on Twitch Creative and getting allowing people to enjoy some internet through the through a streaming platform, but nothing to glom on or to attach onto quite yet. They're not quite live, but will be soon.
You can't see us, but we're grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah, those sound amazing.
Yeah. I know you guys are there every year, so I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to check it out.
We're looking forward to it. Holy cow. And Escape from Teddy Bear Prison. What's the elevator pitch for that?
It's like Orange is the New Black crossed with Paddington Bear or Papillon crossed with Mouse by by Art Spiegelman. I don't know. Yeah, there's like it's a little weird.
I need this in my life.
It's a prison escape thing, but everybody it's a genre that people are familiar with, but not with teddy bears as the characters.
I absolutely need this in my life. This sounds pretty great.
It sounds dark and adorable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my goal. That's me in a nutshell. Dark and adorable.
Well, I feel like all your voice characters are, they're kind of nice, and then all of your live action cameos are like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, I got a face for villainy, so. Yeah.
All right. Where can the people go if they want to keep up with what you do?
They can follow me. Probably the best central place is my Twitter, which is Sadogre, Sadogre. And from there, you can find posts to my Tumblr page or my Instagram or my now I have this Patreon going on. So people can follow me through those various media. But Twitter is probably the best place to kind of find me in the first place and then branch out from there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had a blast talking with you.
Thank you, guys, and I look forward to doing more as the opportunity presents themselves.
And we look forward to seeing it. Thanks again.
Have a great night.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, that was great.
He's so much fun. Oh my god.
He's a ton of fun and such a troll.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Shannon McCormick levels of trolling.
But in a great way.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's so great, like, hearing the creative process. And again, just the process in general of how writing for this season has been going, because I wasn't sure if, like, you know, what is okay to write about, what's not, you know, how they filtered all of that. So it was really great hearing that creative process.
Well, I'm pretty sure Miles had his fingers in pretty much every pie just for the sake of narrative cohesion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, God, those episodes were so much fun.
They were.
What I would have given to have seen Freelancers Ladies Night, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Sign me up.
Fan art anywhere. I need it.
The fan fiction. Does anyone have any of this? Please send it to me. I require it in my life.
Keep thinking about the Wander Over Yonder Ladies Night episode, and
yes.
I would absolutely love the Freelancer equivalent of that.
That would be incredible.
I feel like there'd be an equal amount of brawling for sure.
More.
Yep, even
so
more.
much more. So we have 2 other episodes that we need to cover, and not a lot of time in which to do it. So let's crack these open.
Hashtag dark and adorable.
If you put an ampersand in a hashtag, it breaks it. Might I recommend hashtag adarkable. Yep. So let's talk about Immersion Warthog Flip. I actually don't watch Immersion all that often, and I'm told that I need to because it's like Mythbusters with sarcasm.
It basically is. There was a show on G4 a little while ago where it was very similar to the Immersion premise, where it's, you know, applying video game science to the real world. And yeah, it's basically like Mythbusters. And so I really enjoy any time we get to see like the live action Spartan costumes being worn.
Poor Miles. He's said before that armor is very uncomfortable. So they keep putting him in it at every opportunity.
It's like, here's uncomfortable armor, and also make a fool of yourself in front of this flipped over car.
Yeah, and I just love the commentary. Lift with your back.
Not with your
please
knees.
Please don't.
I'm not gonna lie, I hurt my back a while ago, so I'm like, oh no, don't hurt yourself, Miles.
Like, the science was interesting to watch, and evidently Marcus Laporte, according to his Twitter, is Props, the broadcast set designer, and the live action production designer for Rooster Teeth stuff. So that is fun and interesting. So he would know a little more about this.
Of course, yeah. Like, it's always nice, like, adding comedy to learning. You know, we've seen that, like, through the numerous comedians that people turn to for news now. Learning and comedy go really well together. And so I like, you know, comedy being applied to science and everything like that. And the two go very well together. And actually getting to see it work is also really pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did it multiple times, though, because we had the very specific, the bobblehead fell off the dash shots. And then we definitely had shots where, no, it came all the way up. No, it's fine. Like, I'm pretty sure they flipped that warthog more than once for filming purposes.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
I love the giant X button. I thought the framing was kind of cute. Just the live action red team trying to get home. The ongoing joke about whether or not it's the plot of Speed.
And the power. We have to get back because all the ice cream is melting.
It'll be ice cream soup, which isn't that bad. And I'm like, no, when you get ice cream soup, you put chocolate syrup and Bailey's in it, and you make smoothies. This is how it works. This is how it works.
It's one of those
and now
things
you know how
where,
Friday nights go at my house.
It's one of the things where watching this, it makes me go, yeah. And like we had with the Freddie Wong episode a little while ago, I would totally watch a live action Red versus Blue movie. Absolutely.
Me too.
Like and like done like that, it would work. It honestly would.
And I love that we got to see Lopez with like all the wires hanging out and everything.
The worst part is they're going to make me fix the car.
I did write that out. Miles being mildly to moderately familiar with Halo. Like, come on. And the Spartans never die. They're just missing in action or on their backs when he's trying to get up. Just bless you. That hurt me, but it was also really funny.
It's been a while since I've watched other immersion videos as well, but does Bernie always wear the UNSC thing on his laptop?
I don't think so. I'm uncertain. Chat, tell us, is the UNSC thing always on there? Because I don't think it does. I don't think it is, rather. Subject verb agreement. I am good at life. Yeah, what this tells me is that I need to watch more Immersion. I know they did a Five Nights at Freddy's one with Michael and Gavin, because of course.
That one's a lot of fun. I've definitely seen a handful of Immersion videos, and they're always fun. It's always fun to see, you know, again, people use science and video games come together. It's great.
Oh, yeah. And I just love that bit of commentary. There's no reason for an explosion. It'd be like shoehorning it in for a spectacle at this point. That is Mythbusters.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and then they have the explosion.
And then they have the bomb. Chat says that the UNSC logo is not usually on there. That's kind of what I thought.
I appreciated adding it then.
The details. Having the X button, which looked for all the world like a repainted Staples Easy button.
But it was great.
Yeah.
And something I really like is I like the timing of this, because having the immersion video before the finale, you know, they go hand in hand together very well, because it's talking about applying things in our world, and then lo and behold, we get red versus blue in our world.
So let's swing into that then. Our season finale is Red versus Blue versus Rooster Teeth, and that I think the mocap guys had an absolute ball with this one. We went full on Who Framed Roger Rabbit here.
It was wonderful.
It was a lot of fun. Lopez was my favorite part of this. I don't know why. Lopez was my favorite part of this. Just why can't he just stay dead?
Well, Lopez always is really great with, because again, no one can understand him.
Except
so his
Locust on occasion.
Yeah. So his one-liners and his soliloquies are just fantastic.
The bit where he's the second that we're like, okay, we're gonna have Jeff meet up with Griff. It's like, okay, they're gonna do the whole talking to oneself and okay, I got this. And then, like, well, who's Bernie going to run into? Oh, my God, Lopez. And just, I don't speak Spanish.
No, and just that whole speech where, you know,
after 14 years, we're finally going home.
All of the parallels were really great, and just the fact that Bernie couldn't understand, like, this thing that, you know, very much lines up with his character in this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't speak
Spanish.
Spanish.
Incredible. I'm not sure if Miles not getting sarcasm is an in-joke. I will say it amused me anyway. I have a coworker. I almost said I have a freelancer. Oh, God, my life. I have a coworker who his sarcasm and joking and I'm messing with you voice is the exact same as his everyday serious delivery voice. And so I'm at the point, 4 years into my job, where if it sounds like bullshit, it probably is, and I will treat it as such until he goes, no, seriously, this is actually the case. I'm like, I couldn't tell.
One of these days, that's going to cause a problem. I feel like he's going to tell you some really serious news, and you're going to be like, cut the BS.
Well, he knows, because I just kind of look at him like, because usually it's one of those things, it's always on the border of this, he could be joking, he could be messing with me, and the tone of voice gives nothing away. So it's like, okay. No, really, this is actually the case. Okay, so what do we need to do for it? But I'm with him. I have a coworker that does that. I get it.
But Bernie and Lopez, those two matches were great. Yeah, the millennial hacks. It was really fun seeing
the arguments about Tucker's armor color, and there are so many colors in this show. I can't keep track of them. And I'm going to add 14 characters, all with personality. Just yes.
I'm going to write 3 new pivotal characters to this story arc. My characters were pivotal. Just everybody playing a caricature of themselves is always really fun. They do it in 10 Little Roosters. Yeah, they do it all the time, and it's hilarious. And in particular, I appreciated Jeff's caricature, like actually holding the Jack Daniels and everything.
And it was like Max something or other. They replaced the label just a little bit.
And the tattoo joke, because one of my favorite Red versus Blue PSAs is, should you get a tattoo? Like altering your skin, which at the time seems really cool, but then 14 years on seems slightly less cool.
Nah, no one would ever do that. The reference that I loved was the RVB kill switch, because evidently this was a thing in the office, and they talked about it in one of their podcasts, and it became a Rooster Teeth animated adventure. That at one point in one of the studios they were in, there was a light switch in the kitchen where if you flipped it, it cut the power to the machinima room. So at one point, someone did that, and Josh came out and was like, what did you just do? We just lost like 5 hours of work.
How dare you?
Yeah, so having this big old red versus blue kill switch in the middle of the hall with it just... It was wonderful.
Thankfully, in their new place,
they
don't they don't do that anymore. I don't think, but at least I would hope not. But yeah, the idea that the kill switch is canon.
Yes. And all of these different jokes. I feel like watching this episode was also getting a tour of the studio.
Yeah, this is a commercial business.
The jokes about the podcast set. It's terrible. No one with taste would watch this. Oh my God, they have a new podcast set now. So that was him walking around the old one.
And it was cool. It was cool to get this little tour of the Rooster Teeth studio.
Oh yeah, and just everyone talking with their voice counterparts was absolutely incredible.
That was the smartest man I've ever met.
And that is also why you should buy gold. Matt and Sarge was wonderful.
It really was. That was spectacular.
And continually shilling the Rocket Rooster energy drink. You know that's going to show up at RTX. In some capacity, it will be at RTX.
I would hope so.
I would be very surprised if it isn't.
It literally makes all of our money.
All of it. It only causes cancer in some people. And I have to say, this is going to put us all the way up at explicit if we aren't already, that my favorite little scene is like right at the tail end of Bernie and Lopez talking, and they just it's framed with Bernie and then the window behind him, and you just have the two guys running by, fuck, and following him, shit. That was my favorite part of the episode.
Honestly,
that just made me laugh.
Gus
so
and Jeff
hard.
running from Griffin Simmons was just absolutely spectacular.
And then Griffin Simmons chasing them, and just it was well set up. It was well choreographed. Everything was just a ton of fun.
And it's also very fitting that at the very end, Bernie ends up in the world of Red versus Blue.
And we have to end with, son of a bitch. And Tucker coming out of the teleporter.
Are you a model or famous actress?
The episode's brick joke. And then Barb punching him out, just like, God bless. This is just wonderful. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was very much things coming full circle. It was a really, really good way to end a season like this.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think at this point, we don't have very many minutes left, but I think we need to talk about the season as a whole for a bit.
I want to talk a little bit about that monologue at the very end.
That ending monologue wrecked me. I want to know who wrote it so I can hug them and then hit them with something. Oh my God.
How dare you make me feel feelings?
How dare you make me feel things? As long as there's stories, there need to be storytellers, and that's where you come in. Tell your story. It could be one in a billion others, but it'll be yours. And a universe without stories is just empty space. Nanowrimo is in less than 2 weeks.
It's beautiful.
For those of you who don't know what that is National Novel Writers Month, and that's 50,000 words in 30 days. It's rough. And writing is always, always hard. It's very easy to sit there and go, well, I have this idea, but 8 billion other people do urban fantasy. I mean, what's the point? And so having this little bit at the end, this bit of encouragement saying, doesn't matter if someone else has already done the story, doesn't matter if it's 1 in a billion, do it anyway. No one does it like you.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful way to, and it's also a wonderful way to not only highlight all of the work that went into this season, because so many different writers were involved, but also, bringing in the fans, because that's how a lot of these people got to write for this season, is being fans of the show. And so it's nice to acknowledge that. It's nice to acknowledge, like, hey, just keep writing out there. And this started as a fan project.
Yeah.
We forget that sometimes because we're not as into Halo. We're more into Red versus Blue. But all of this started because they were big fans of Halo and just wanted to do something funny. So tell your story.
Yeah, and this is very much a show that is aware of its fans and in touch with its fans. And that was definitely like, look, this is us talking to you, the fandom. Keep creating. Do the thing. And that's a really good thing to hear, especially when you're discouraged by everyone else has done it. I don't think mine is good enough, whatever. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing to hear from the people who make the stuff that we adore.
Yeah. Or just life in general. Like, tell my story.
Tell it yourself! So this whole season, I talked about this a little bit in my reaction video, and we don't have a lot of time right now. So if you want the full thoughts, go watch that link. I enjoyed it. I will say that I was a little disappointed in some areas. There were some episodes that didn't land for me, and your mileage may vary. But there was also that trailer that we got at the very, very beginning for the season, and we had the full cast of freelancers, and then
a little bit of false advertising.
Very much false advertising. Like, we got them all in the studio for one line apiece. See you never. And so I know I was excited for it. I know a lot of people were also excited for freelancer content, and we got freelancer content, and I would not trade the Triplets and the Mission because that was a ton of fun. But I also still want more.
Oh, yeah.
That's just part of it. I just want more. I want more. I wanted them to fill in the gaps. We had that. We had the first 3 episodes. We had the Mercs. I was expecting more filling in the gaps in the extant timeline and not as much wandering off into AUs. And wandering off into AUs is a freaking blast.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely so much fun. But, yeah, there is a certain expectation when you say you're doing anthology stories, like, we want a 479er story, that sort of thing. And
you know exactly who was in the charge for that one. Like, we know. You know who you are.
But that's a discussion for another day.
Oh yeah, but no, they know if they're listening. They know who they are.
They know who. She knows what she did. Anyway, but things like that. There's a certain expectation because we love those characters and they're gone. So, dead, kibosh. Like, a lot of that is done. So it would be really nice to fill in some of those gaps. That being said, getting new pivotal characters and fun AUs, really great. I have to say that, like, probably my favorite set of episodes were the Merck Trilogy that we got. I think those were my favorite out of the entire season. Both aesthetically and just the story I thought was really great. I don't think there was anything I overtly disliked in this season, but you're absolutely right. There's some stuff where it's like, better than others where the humor doesn't necessarily land as well. But that happens sometimes. And again, to each their own.
I mean, there were a few that I watched where it was like, all right, that was 10 minutes of my life. That occurred. And then there were some where it was just like, can I have 18 more like this? The Merc ones were a lot of fun. I loved our first 3. Absolutely adored our first 3. Started off on a really high note. I loved these 2. And I keep coming back to Caboose's Guide for Making Friends.
That was fantastic.
I keep coming back to that. It wrecked me. It had an art style that I adored. It was super cute. It was funny. And we keep coming back to it wrecked me. I like things that wreck me. I don't know why. It's just like, you made me feel emotions. I'm so mad at you, but I love it.
Oh, my heart.
That's how I live my life. That's also why I watch Arrow.
Oh. Transitioning to later.
Emotions. Yep, that's later tonight.
Again, I love so much of what they did, and I really appreciated how much live action was actually in this season, with the immersion video, with the Freddie Wong trailer, with this final episode, and with the stop motion episode.
The Mega Box one.
Exactly. So I really, it's just shown how much they've grown as a production company, and it's very heartwarming to think about.
Christopher in chat says maybe they'll do a freelancer miniseries like they did Out of Mind and Recovery 1. I'm uncertain about that, but I would definitely be down for it. I think they're just too busy with all the other animation projects.
And the other thing is, too, that you can only go back to that well for so long when there's other things going on.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening with season 15. If it's happening,
I go back to the standby of, as long as people are watching Red versus Blue, we'll continue to make it. So I have faith that there will be a season 15. I don't know that that's been officially confirmed anywhere, but I would be very surprised if they don't continue on.
Yeah.
And I feel like 14 was their breather because of the changes, because they're making Camp, because Ruby turned such a corner, because they changed engines in which they're doing Ruby. Like, I feel like this was okay, it's still a lot of work, but it's not as much work as having a season and a plot and all of the they did a little bit of outsourcing, and it was great for this season.
Yeah, it was, and again, it
worked really well.
So nice to hear a multitude of voices in in one season. It's great.
So I'm looking forward to season 15. We want to hear what you guys thought of this season. Throw it in the comments, or better yet, throw it in your iTunes reviews. If you have not yet rated, commented, and subscribed to our iTunes podcast, that is the best way to keep us on air and to ensure that we as a panel come back for season 15. Should there be a hypothetical season 15, I'm betting on yes. So best way to do that, go to iTunes, find the Red vs. Blue AfterBuzz podcast, subscribe, leave us 5 stars because you love us and we love you. You know that. And leave a review if you haven't already. We adore you guys. That's the best way to keep us on air. The producers look at iTunes and go, people like this show. We should keep doing this show. So please do the thing. Tell us what you like about the series. For now, I think we need to wrap it up and move it on out. So Megan, where can the people find you?
You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I write articles for the Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. If you wanted to see us reacting to these episodes and get extended thoughts on each of them, those all live on the YouTube channel. Z Nation and Crunch Time on Mondays, Star Wars Rebels on Tuesdays, Arrow is later tonight at 10 p.m. It's super fun, you should watch it. And then Ruby is starting, it starts airing this Saturday, and we are doing our first after show on November 3rd at 7 p.m. So come back in for that. That is going to be super fun. Thank you guys so much for watching and for sticking with us this season, and we will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
You ever wonder why we're here?
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.